Welcome back to Grand Slam Sports. My name is Jace Hodge. Next to me, Charles Foster, and over the desk is Jackson Strasburger. We'll begin today by talking about last night's Thursday night football game. The Buffalo Bills moved to 3-0, taking down the Dolphins. We thought it might be a Miami Massacre. Didn't turn out that way. The Dolphins were competitive in this game, but either way, they fall to 0-3 on the year, Charles.
Yeah, I had written down originally whenever I made this segment that this would be called the Miami Massacre, and I was really shocked at the fact that it was a close game, and I think Miami actually started to kind of show some signs of life there. We saw Ollie Gordon get involved a little bit. We saw Tua make some decent plays. Still, Miami struggled as they have been, but they looked significantly better than they have in these first two games.
Yeah, a big part of their issues earlier in the season was their turnovers. And Tua threw one pick this game, which was a big surprise, especially that Colts game where it felt like every time he touched the ball it was a terrible pass and closer to a defensive player than an offensive player. But then you look at the running game in this too. A-Chain had a great game, 12 carries for 62 yards, and Ollie Gordon gets his first touchdown and 9 carries and 38 yards. They just looked like a brand new team, and it looked really well.
Yeah, but for the Bills, look at James Cook as well, 109 yards, touchdown in the game. How good is this running back for Buffalo? James Cook, is he a top 5 back in this league? He's really making a point of emphasis that he can be a top running back in the NFL and with this Buffalo Bills offense.
I said it last year on a podcast that we made, a one-off podcast that we made, that James Cook was a top 5 running back, and people looked at me like I'm silly. And I'm so happy to see that he is now currently actually starting to live up to that name, because James Cook is a top 5 running back. He's been a top 5 running back for the past year, in my opinion. He is RB1. Now, there's a question on here that does make me think a little bit. How good is Buffalo at 3-0, even though they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL? And I do want to beg the question. I think that there is some fraud checks, and I do think they might get fraud checked. Because we look at this team. Against the Jets, a team that had over 150 yards in penalties, they still were getting outplayed by the Jets in the first half, despite the Jets beating themselves. And then against the Dolphins team that every single team has taken turns whooping up on, you don't whoop up on them. To me, I feel like that is starting to be a little bit eye-opening, is when they actually play against a team that plays competent football, will they get fraud checked?
And Charles, for me, the concern is their defense. Obviously, you have some aging corners in Tre'Davious White. Taron Johnson's played well. Bernard had a pick last night. But that defense is a main concern with the athleticism that they present. Jackson, what's your thoughts on this defense and whether they can be an inhibitor in a possible Bills Super Bowl run?
Absolutely. I think they're the deciding factor. This offense looked really good yesterday. I mean, it's a game when you throw 20 or 31 points and your offense plays like that, you should win, and it should be a significant win. But when your defense, I mean, they just struggled. It looked like just mistake after mistake, letting Tyreek Hill, it was mainly Tyreek Hill, get open or just runs up the middle, make for extra yards. And while watching the game last night, that was my biggest concern, is can this Bills defense compete with a good team? And right now, I don't think they can.
And then finally, Charles, return to you one more time for the Miami Dolphins. Their front seven, which has a lot of big names with Bradley Chubb, with those rookies and Kenneth Grant, they have a lot of names that can make noise, but they have not been getting any pressure. But in the running game for Miami on offense, Ollie Gordon looks pretty darn good so far in the minutes he's played. But for Miami, where do they go from here? They're 0-3. They're 0-3 on the year. How long does Tua last? How long does McDaniel last in Miami? Do they tank? What's the plan for the Dolphins?
Fire Mike McDaniel. That is, in my opinion, the solve all. And Tua needs to go too, but Tua can last for now. Mike McDaniel, in my opinion, is a problem. I think it's a culture problem. I think we've seen the amount of times that we've seen players are showing up late to training camps. Players are showing up late like that. Those are reports of that, but they were winning, so no one cared. They're like, oh, this team's winning. Of course they're not showing up to practice. They're winning. They're still not doing it, and now they're losing. And you continue to not show up to the things you're supposed to do. That means that it is a culture problem. If you're not being held accountable for not showing up to the things you're supposed to show up to, you have players like Tyreek Hill, who's already kind of a diva. You need someone to kind of rein him in. That's why we've kind of started to see Stephon Diggs start to fall off, because they haven't had the same thing. I think if the Dolphins want to actually win a game, they need a coach that's actually willing to tell them what needs to happen to win games.
Charles, but you know who is winning? The Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert, I know you have a tweet for us.
Yeah, and we look at the tweet. The tweet I saw this morning was, in just 2 weeks, Justin Herbert has an excellent completion rate while throwing 0 interceptions, 5 touchdowns, while amassing almost 600 yards and going 2-0. Now, the question said, is he underrated? You be the judge. Now, I think that we can say that I believe he is underrated. Jackson, I go to you first. How do you feel about Justin Fields this season? Is he underrated?
I think he's been underrated throughout his entire career. I mean, I like Herbert. He's a regular season type of guy. He just can't perform in the playoffs, but his regular season stats are there. I mean, this year so far, already tied for 3rd in touchdowns. He's 5th in passing yards and 4th in QBR. Before yesterday's game, he was 3rd in every of those categories. And he's just been a dominant, played against some Chiefs teams first week, Friday game in Brazil and played fantastically. I think he has a chance to actually make a run this year.
And I think, he's made his mistakes over the course of his career. He's thrown interceptions that have been costly. He's made the playoffs before as well. But for the Chargers and Justin Herbert, he has looked really good so far this year. This year looks like a different version of Herbert that we haven't seen before. He took it to the Chiefs in that game in Brazil. Look at his weapons. He's making Quentin Johnson now look like a receiver 1 in the NFL. Granted, Johnson's playing a lot better. He's actually catching the football this season, which he did not do all of the previous 2 seasons. He's making Keenan Allen, an old Keenan Allen, look very good, making Chicago look goofy for letting him go back to L.A. But Herbert has looked really good this year. He's really accurate with the football, and he's making the right plays at the right time. But like we said, can it carry over to that postseason time? That's the big question for Herbert.
And now I draw a question to a regular season award. And we kind of look at this and how we started these first 2 weeks. And I don't think anyone with a brain is saying that he's not underrated. I think that's just the case. Can Justin Herbert win an MVP if he continues to play like this? A regular season award, mind you.
I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be able to. Right now, what he's putting up, the stats he's putting up against good teams is very impressive. And Herbert is playing the best football of his career. And Jackson mentioned the whole, regular season stats are a lot better than the postseason stats. He reminds me a lot of Peyton Manning. When he's in Indianapolis, he played a lot better in the regular season than he did in the postseason. But if Herbert can keep this up, I actually think the Chargers can win the AFC West this year with the Chiefs having a bit of a down year. I think he can and maybe will win MVP this season.
Yeah, he's projected just under 5,000 yards right now with 43 touchdowns. Again, he doesn't throw a pick, but we're 2 games into the season. That's another thing. I can't say he's going to win MVP because we're just, one game against the Chiefs, which was a very good game, and then he played the Raiders, which is a struggling defense. I can't say that yet, but I think he's right now the front runner.
Another 2-0 team is the Cincinnati Bengals. Their quarterback, very similar to Herbert, a very good quarterback in the AFC, but he's now out for 3 months, turf toe injury. So he is not going to be in action for these next 3 months for Cincinnati. They're 2-0, though. They have a doable quarterback in Jacob Browning, you might call that, maybe. He threw 3 picks, but they still won the ball game. But their defense is still a big question mark. My question to you guys is, where does Cincinnati go from here without their superstar quarterback in Joe Burrow?
They go to church. That's my thing. They go to church. Joe Burrow is the lifeblood of this team. They have 2 very good receivers in Higgins and Chase. But I think, right now they're going with Mike White, Sean Clifford, and Jake Browning. That is their current quarterback room, and that's not a good quarterback room. There are plenty of places I think that this might be one of those cases. I know a lot of teams are afraid to make trades within the first few weeks, but if it needs to be done, it needs to be done. And I feel like this is one of those times where you go find a backup quarterback that is competent, and you go get him.
But when it comes down to a quarterback isn't what makes or breaks a team. It's also that defense, Jackson. The Bengals' defense last year was arguably the worst in the NFL. They've shown some sparks maybe this season of doing something, but they allowed Jacksonville to score 27 points. How big is the defense going to be now that Burrow is out?
It's going to be huge. They played a pretty decent game outside of just letting up some points, a few mistakes, but you also look at a lot of picks from a lot of corners. Your defensive line looks pretty good. Trey Henderson got back there for a sack. Your rookie Stewart looked very good. But back to this Jake Browning talk. I can't let you make fun of him like that. He has more yards than Joe Burrow does in 2 quarters versus a game. 3 quarters versus a game and a quarter.
3 interceptions, though.
The 3 picks is what hurts, but he also has the same amount of touchdowns and was able to lead down a game-winning drive against Jacksonville, which is not a bad defense. No. And he has the weapons. I feel like that's the big part. They have the weapons. They have Jamar Chase. They have T. Higgins. They have Chase Brown, who now gets really a chance to shine with Joe Burrow being out. I really do like this Bengals team still without Burrow.
Yeah, Browning's been throwing the football. He's going to go in there. He's going to throw that thing. He's like Winston. He's going to go out there. He's going to sling it, whether it's touchdown or a pick.
It's going to be fun football to watch there in Cincinnati.
And good for Jamar Chase probably, too.
Incoming.
Yeah, we'll see. So the Bengals, their next 5 games, tough though. Vikings, Broncos, Lions, Packers, Steelers. That's a rough 5 games they have to go into. We'll see what they can come out with when Burrow returns later in the season. But now it's time for a panic meter. 3 0-2 teams. We all get to choose one of these 3 teams and give them on a scale of 1 to 10 how much their fan base should be panicking. Charles, who are we going with?
And we look down at my first team, the team that I picked. That is the Kansas City Chiefs. And people are going to be a little bit surprised about this one, but my panic meter for the Chiefs are going at number 7 out of 10. Because we look at the Chiefs. This is a team that, yes, they're good, and them going 0-2 is not that big of a deal to some. But you're in the best division of football, in my opinion. The Broncos are a good team, just barely losing to the Colts last week. The Chargers are very clearly a good team, and the Raiders are probably the best, worst team in the division right now. So we look at this team, right? a Chiefs team that is, going to have that hard schedule, not a lot of good receivers, they can't stop battling suspensions. For me, they should be very concerned right now because I think you hold them to a higher standard than other teams. A Chiefs 0-2 is a lot different than a Jets 0-2. Yeah. You gotta start thinking like, oh, this dynasty could be over and this could be the end of it. So for me, they should be a little bit concerned.
Jackson?
Yeah, so I have the Bears over here, and I went with a 6, and that might be kind of crazy too, maybe a little low on this standpoint, but I mean, I don't think they're going to win their division. Their division's too hard. I think they are a wild card team still. They just have to get settled. They have a new head coach calling his first 2 games with a second-year quarterback who's played great, really. I think he's been fantastic except for a couple mistakes. I just think this team looks good. I think they just haven't capitalized, had a couple tough games, and I think Ben Johnson's just got to figure out where he is.
Yeah, I don't see the Bears being a playoff team in any regard. All 3 of the teams in the division are better than them by a decent margin. I see them going 0-6 in NFC North play, and that's going to be just about all they can do to even make the playoffs. It'll be tough for the Bears.
It'll be very tough for the Bears.
Yeah, but for me, I got the Houston Texans. I'm going to give them a little 4.5 in that range because the Texans, yes, they're 0-2. Their offenses look shaky. They're with a new offensive coordinator now. They're figuring it out with quarterback C.J. Stroud. His 3rd year, he's figuring things out under a new OC for the first time. But for the Texans, they have an easy schedule coming up. They have the Jaguars and then the Titans. 2 games I expect them to win. There's going to be 2 get-right games for this Houston ball club, and I think they'll be right back into playoff contention in no time.
And I think as well they have the luxury of being in a really, really crappy division because the Colts are a good team this year, but the Colts are still, I would say, one of the lowest of the top teams in their division. I mean, they still have a lot of kinks to figure out too. So, I mean, this is as open a division as it ever has been. 0-2. C.J. Stroud, obviously the question draws, what's up with him? Why is he struggling so much? But I do think that the Texans are just fine. I think the 4.5 is a good
We'll
rating.
see if our meters come to fruition, if any of these 3 teams can become playoff teams come the end of the season. But in the playoffs right now, the WNBA, we'll get into that next. Let's talk some basketball now and some WNBA awards. We've had 4 announced so far. The MVP on Sunday, that'll be announced. And the finalists are going to be announced today. But let's begin first with the most improved player, Veronica Burton on the Valkyries, Charles.
Yeah, Veronica Burton definitely deserved that one. And we look at this, she last year was averaging 3.1 points a game to now averaging 12. That is a phenomenal switch, and she's become a star player on a playoff Valkyries team, that just got eliminated the other day. But to go from being a 3-point scorer, that's any bench player ever. You flip a coin, you're going to find a 3-point scorer. And then for her to go in and now score 11.9 is such a switch up and such a good thing for this team.
And she's the first player in WNBA history, I have it written down here, to increase her averages by at least 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists per game from one season to the next. Very impressive stuff from Veronica Burton. But who else was impressive? The Rookie of the Year, Paige Beckers. She was nothing short of outstanding in her first year in Dallas, although the Wings, they weren't very good, but Beckers in herself was a great, phenomenal ball player this season.
Beckers has made a case for herself to be arguably a top 3 point guard in the league already. And for her come in, she had a 40-point game. She had such a good season, averaging close to 20 points a game. And this is in a pretty solid rookie class, too. You see both rookies from the Mystics and Kiki and Citron that also had very good seasons as well. And for her to almost clean sweep outside of Citron, getting 2 of the votes, shows just how dominant of a season Beckers had. Beckers was the star player from the get-go on the Wings. And this is a Wings team that does actually have some talent. So definitely Paige's season was one of the better rookie seasons that we've seen. In fact, you can even make the case it was close to Clark's.
Yeah, you look at the rookies in the recent times, and they all had teams that weren't very good when they began. Sabrina Ionescu with the Liberty, they were horrible when she was first there. Caitlin Clark, she was with the Fever, they were horrible when she first got there. And now with Paige Beckers in Dallas, we see both Liberty and Fever being successful now. I would give the Wings maybe 2 years, and they'll be right up there with the WNBA's best.
I wholeheartedly agree. And now we look at Coach of the Year, and one of the most deserving awards that we could see. We have Natalie Nakase winning Coach of the Year for the Golden State Valkyries, and they may not have been the best team. And people are going to make the case, it should have been the Lynx or the Aces. But here's what I'll say. You are a team that last year did not exist. The Valkyries did not exist last year, and they made the playoffs. They are the first team to do that ever. And I had to look and see if I had it on my list. No other team has done that. And now we're looking at a team that they weren't amazing. They were right on the cusp of being a playoff team. but they went out there, they balled out, despite having not even existed the year before.
And
That's
they played great defense. They held opponents to a league low in points per game. They were the best defense in the WNBA at times this season, although they did get knocked out by the Lynx, but I mean, it's the Lynx. It's going to happen in the first round. You know, with a new team, they're going to be a great ball club next year. But now let's get into the Defensive Player of the Year, and it's actually a co-Defensive Player of the Year. The first time we've ever seen an award split by two players in league history. Asia Wilson and Alana Smith, from the two best teams in the WNBA, they split the co-Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, this one's an interesting one. I've seen a lot of debate about, you know, should have been Asia, should have been Smith. I'm on the team that I think Asia Wilson was Defensive Player of the Year, but I also don't hate Alana Smith. I've also been a pro advocate for the fact that NBA and WNBA need to have two separate Defensive Player of the Year's award. There's no way that Alana Smith, who's playing forward, should be going against an Asia Wilson playing the center, because their defensive, what they do for a defense is way different. I mean, it's so, you don't see it in the NBA as well, how Marcus Smart was such a monumental win because he was a guard. And I think that those players need to be, you know, seen. They need to be seen on their defense. Alana Smith was a phenomenal defender. Gabby Williams, of course, getting close in the votes as well. Shout out to her on the Storm. She played phenomenal this season. So, I mean, looking at these three, all three of them deserve to get in it, and Smith and Wilson definitely deserved it both. I just think that hopefully this is an opening call for WNBA execs that they need to maybe make two awards for two different positions.
And for the WNBA, the MVP, the finalists announced tonight, the winner announced on Sunday between Asia Wilson and Ifisha Collier. Charles, who do you think it's going to be? It's going to be tight.
It is going to be tight. I think it's going to be Collier. She's never won one before.
I think it's going to be Asia Wilson.
But
I'm on the train that Asia Wilson did enough there at the end of the season to lead the Aces and get her MVP.
It'll be close. It'll be a fun one. We're definitely going to be excited to see what happens there.
Let's look into the playoffs now. Three series wrapped up. We're going to take a closer look at two of them. One still ongoing. Beginning with the ongoing series, the Mercury, the Liberty, the 4-5 matchup tied up 1-1. Game 3 is tonight. Two good games so far, two arguably blowouts, but the road team winning both of those games, the Liberty winning Game 1 in Phoenix, the Mercury winning Game 2 in New York by a score of 86-60. Charles, Game 3 tonight, winner moves on to take on Minnesota.
Give me the Mercury. I want the Mercury. A little bit of bias because I'm a big Alyssa Thomas fan, but I think the Mercury have what it takes to take this one home. They're at home, which hasn't really meant much, but I think it will mean something in a win or go home game. They have the momentum coming off the last game. Alyssa Thomas looked good, Bonner looked good, and we saw Sabali. She also had a pretty solid game, too. That was a really good team. One of the few times we see a Phoenix team where they all start to look good, because the Phoenix have this curse of Alyssa Thomas plays good and no one else does, or Sabali plays good and Thomas plays okay and no one else does. And that's been that kind of curse. If this team can be complete, on paper, they're one of the better teams in the league.
We've also seen Copper stepping up in these two games so far, 15 and 14, respectively, in Game 1 and 2. And when we look into that game number 2, the Liberty scored 60 points, only one player in double figures, and it was not Sabrina Ionescu, it was not Brianna Stewart, it was someone off the bench that scored 11 points. No one else was in double figures that game. The Mercury playing phenomenal defense right now, Charles.
And yeah, I mean, the Mercury defense has always been in the bloodline of their team, and I've always been a thing that I think the Liberty have not really been too impressive for me this season, and I am following that trend. Give me the Mercury, and let them move on this way.
The Liberty, to me, are the defending champions for a reason. They have the talent with Ionescu and Stewart. I'm going to take them to win this game on the road and move on in what could be a very good second-round matchup between them and Minnesota. But we have a second-round matchup set, and that's the Indiana Fever taking on the Las Vegas Aces. The Fever without, I believe, 7 players for that first-round matchup against the Atlanta Dream. They go into Atlanta last night, and they get the victory in what was a great ball game. And the Aces, they win by just 1 point as well over the Seattle Storm in that game number 3. Fever Aces, two teams that fans aren't big fans of because they're very popular right now in the WNBA. Charles, this is going to be an interesting matchup in the second round.
Yeah, it will be a very interesting matchup. I think one of the biggest things that I talked about this, and I talked about it before the series started, is that the Dream were my least favorite home court advantage team, but the Fever were my least favorite away team. They're just so hurt. But Kelsey Mitchell's a dog. I mean, she scored 19 in the first half last game, and she looked phenomenal. She started to slow down a little bit, only ending with a game of 24. But the Fever, this team has the talent. This team does, but I do not think they have the talent to beat the Aces. The Aces have slipped up a little bit, but this team is the hottest team in WNBA right now, And Asia Wilson scored 38 last night, and I think
goodness.
she's going to absolutely dominate in this game.
You look back to that game against Seattle. I was watching the game last night between the Aces and the Storm. The Storm just could not get anybody on her. She was cutting into the paint. No one was near her because she's just way bigger than anybody else down there in the paint. Seattle had no one to match with her. If they had a rookie that they had to put in the game that was her height to try to match up with Asia Wilson, it just was not working. You can't guard Asia Wilson. She's almost unguardable as it gets in the WNBA.
I mean, yeah, and you see this a lot very commonly, especially in the WNBA, of the bigger player can win a lot. And Asia Wilson has perfected that mid-range game. And we talked about it with Kawhi Leonard in the NBA in the 2019 playoffs, how Kawhi Leonard dominated with the Raptors because he dominated the mid-range game. If you can go down the court in a half-court game, in the playoffs it's a little bit more half-court, and you can score 2 points every single time you're down the court, you're going to win every single game. You're going to win ball games. That's just what happens. And Asia Wilson's the same way. She's not going to flash you with threes. She's not going to do amazing things like that. She's going to get the ball right on that elbow, and she's just going to go to work. It's going to be back to the basket fades. It's going to be right in front of your face fades. And that's how she plays. And it's so consistent that it makes it so hard to beat them in a 3 to 5 game series.
But where do your concerns lie for the Aces and the Fever in the series?
If Asia Wilson doesn't play good, the team doesn't play good. That's where my concern lies with the Aces. With the Fever, the same thing with the Storm. Who the heck guards Asia Wilson?
I mean, no one.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to pray that she's off that night. So.
And I mean, for the Fever, they also have, numerous injuries. Clark out for the year, Cunningham out for the year, Bibby out for the year. I can name off 4 or 5 more players, but we're running out of time here. But the Fever, Aces should be a good matchup in the WNBA semifinals. We're getting towards playoff time in the MLB as well, and the Guardians are surging on back. We'll get to them next. Let's talk some baseball. The Cleveland Guardians are surging on back. Just about 2 weeks ago, you would have thought this team is dead in the water. Now they're 81-71. They just swept Detroit in Detroit, beating Scooball in that 3rd game of that series. And now they're only 3.5 games back of the Tigers with a 3-game set at home against them in the coming weeks. Guys, the Guardians, some fall magic.
Some fall magic indeed. This team has come out of nowhere. I mean, like Randy Orton in 09. I mean, they have just absolutely come out of nowhere, and they have been dominant. And this is what I can tell you, a team I did not think would do that. They dropped Carlos Santana. They dropped half their team to the waivers, and then they just came in and they've been balling out. And it's not like they've been playing against bad teams. They just swept the Tigers, who are currently one of my favorites to move on. I mean, to go to the World Series this year. So to look at this Guardians team, I mean, it's been some impressive stuff. They won 12 of the last 13 games.
Jackson?
Yeah, and 7 of those in a row. I mean, they've just been fantastic in every aspect of the game. And then they have an easier schedule coming up. Minnesota for 4, again Detroit at home this time for 3, and they finish off their season with Texas. I really do think this team has a chance to definitely get in the wild card, let alone maybe even win their division. They look really good right now, and when you get hot, especially in October baseball.
We'll get into that playoff watch in a second, but here's a stat I wanted to mention. They could become the 4th team ever to make the postseason after having a 10-plus game losing streak in that same season. The most recent team to do that was the 2017 Los Angeles Dodgers. Charles, that is a stat to behold if they can make the postseason.
Yeah, this team is a team I thought was over. I mean, I thought this team was, like you said, dead in the water. I mean, this team had nothing good going for them. But like they say, the Cleveland pitching factory remained supreme. And we look at Bybee. I mean, he's been struggling, but he has a 3.18 ERA over his last 5 starts. We look at Hunter Gaddis. I mean, he's been a phenomenal player for them. And we look as well at Gavin Williams, who's been arguably ace material for this team. I mean, looking at him on the season, 3.06 ERA and 161 Ks. I mean, that is a phenomenal stat line for a player that we knew was going to be a top guy. He was in the top of their prospect system. But for him to actually go in and do it, especially for a team that has been struggling for so long, is so impressive.
Batting-wise, though, where do you see this team having success right now? Obviously, they have Ramirez, Manzardo, Stephen Kwan. But how are they doing so well compared to what they were just about a month ago?
I mean, I think a lot of it is just better at bats. And I think, just allowing the count to go a little bit longer. They've been hitting a little bit hotter. And Jackson, I know you're mostly our hitting specialist. What do you think? What are you seeing in that?
That's exactly right. They're taking these counts. You see them take these full counts, taking great at-bats, and then they get a pitch outside. They just force it the other way. There was one play that I was watching them play. It was just a double down the line, and it wasn't anything special. Just hit the ball. When you hit the ball, good things happen. And that's exactly what the Guardians are doing. They're a gritty team. They're fighting. They're stealing bases. They're making defenses make mistakes. And the good quote from Pete Rose, hit it where they ain't. And that's what the Guardians are doing right now.
And the Guardians, while they're 3.5 games back of the Tigers, they're a little bit closer in the wild card race. Only a game and a half back of the Boston Red Sox, who we thought just a few weeks ago were pretty comfortable in that 4 seed in the AL wild card race. But now Guardians only a game and a half back of Boston, and there's also Seattle right there as well, and Houston, who are technically co-leaders of the division right now in the AL West, who are only a game ahead of Boston in that wild card race. Very crazy right now in the wild card in the AL.
I mean, yeah, and we look at the wild card in the AL right now. I mean, these two top teams, as we look behind me, you can see that Toronto's at the top right now, currently at number 1, and you're going to see Detroit's going to be getting that bye as well. And the AL wild card race is going good. The Yankees are starting to win some games, and they're looking good. I think this is going to be how it stands, except for that one team at the top, that Boston Red Sox team. They're not looking good right now. The miracle is kind of ending, and this team on paper to me wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And I think that those woes are starting to find to either they're going to be a first-round exit or they're going to be out before they even get there.
And Jackson, I know you're a Cardinals fan, so I want to turn to the NL for you. I mean, we see the Cardinals on our sheet here. They're 5 games back of the wild card race. I would say they're probably done for, but it's kind of between the Mets, Arizona, Cincinnati, and San Francisco for that last spot in the NL right now.
This is a whole mess of a wild card race. I mean, none of these teams deserve it, but one of them has to get it. I think it'll end up being the Mets. I just can't see a way that they lose enough games, the Diamondbacks win enough games to get that 2-game difference. I think it's the Mets. It'd be hard for them to get out of it.
Charles, looking at the AL now, some divisional races. Tigers, Guardians, obviously. Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays is still ongoing. But the one to talk about is the AL West. Houston and Seattle are both 84 and 69, and they begin a 3-game set, I believe, today. It is a huge series, and, getting that home field advantage in the postseason matters a lot.
Yeah. It's the biggest series of the year for any team, I think. I think this is going to be the most watched series. I mean, even surpassing the Yankees-Jays series that we talked about so highly, because these two teams are tied. This is literally who wins this 3-game series is more than likely winning this, is getting home field advantage. And I think we see that. I mean, these are two teams that specialize in two very different things. The Astros are very good at hitting. The Seattle is very good at pitching. But I think Seattle's going to take this one ahead because of the moves they made at the deadline. I mean, picking up Naylor, picking up Suarez, who's been struggling a little bit, but picking up all those players has made the Seattle team the dangerous team that I thought they would be. And I truly do believe if they had this the entire year, they would maybe be first or second in the AL.
Yeah, the AL, they have 3 decently close divisional races. The NL is a little bit further apart. Milwaukee is about 6 games ahead of Chicago. Philadelphia's already won their division in the NL East, and the Dodgers are about 3 games ahead of the Padres. It's the only one they can maybe consider close is Padres and Dodgers, but then again, it's the Dodgers. They're probably going to win that division.
Yeah, I mean, these divisions are not exactly too entertaining in the NL. The NL kind of sucks. I mean, the NL is not fun. It's very top heavy. Very top heavy. So now we're going to take a look at, speaking of top heavy, we're going to look at the top. And we're going to take a look at this week's Foster 5. And for my Foster 5 this week, we are going to be talking about my top 5 contenders in the MLB. And we're going to start at number 5 with the team we just talked about, the Detroit Tigers. They are my number 5 contender. They were originally my number 2 or 3 whenever I made this list a few weeks ago. And we're now looking at this team. They are not hot anymore. Their hitting starting to fall off. They've fallen all the way to 5 for me on my rankings.
Yeah, their pitching concerns me. Outside of Skubal, I don't see them having a number 2 pitcher. And when it comes down to a longer series, you need more than just Skubal.
Agreed. Number 4, the Toronto Blue Jays. A little bit of home cooking for me. And this team, they have contender written all over them, but they have some woes. Their bullpen sucks. And I cannot say that with enough emphasis. The bullpen in Toronto is absolutely stinky. And you look at this team, they have the most comeback wins in the league, but is that really a good stat if you're always behind every single game?
No.
In the playoffs, that's not a good thing, Jackson.
The playoffs, you need pitching. I mean, your baseball changes from September to October. The game's different. And I just don't think the Blue Jays are built like a playoff team. I think they're built like a great regular season team to get to the playoffs. I just can't see them making a push here.
Yeah, and luckily for the sake of this segment, they only need to win 1 series or 2 series to get to where I need them to be. So, that's why I put them there. The next 3 are all NL teams. Number 3, we see the Dodgers. We're looking at the Dodgers right now, and the Dodgers, they've not been that hot. The pitching has been bye-bye. The injuries have been horrid. The pitching staff that we looked at that could have been the best pitching staff of all time is no longer there. The Dodgers are my number 3, Jace.
I agree here. Their bullpen has been a little bit iffy at times. Their pitching starting-wise is pretty good, but once they get to that bullpen, things kind of unravel. They just haven't been the Dodgers that we've seen, at least in the past 2 years.
Number 2, the hottest team in baseball this season in a whole, the Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers concern me in many ways, but they have been very hot. And that, to me, is what I think is going to be what gets them over a team like the Dodgers, but is what's going to make them lose to my number 1 team. My number 1 team is the Philadelphia Phillies. I love this team's roster. I think roster-wise, they're the most built for this year. They've been a little bit cool, but they're starting to get up there. And I think that you have a team with Bryce Harper, a team with Trey Turner, and all those star players, with a good pitching staff, with a phenomenal bullpen, a good closer. That is a very good team.
If this team wasn't your number 1 team, we would have had a conversation. Like, this is the best team. It is World Series or bust. It's been first-round exit, second-round exit, just can't make it over the hump. If they don't make it over the hump this year, I can't see another year that they do it.
Charles, we'll see if any of these 5 can win the World Series. Hopefully not. Hopefully my Yankees can come out of nowhere and win the World Series. But that's probably not going to happen. The bullpen's stinky there as well. But we'll see. The postseason is right around the corner. Next week we'll be right on the verge of playoff baseball. That'll do it today for Grand Slam Sports. Thanks for joining us.